What finding gold looks like. Wow, based on your feedback from this last email I sent out, I thank you again for so many great responses. It's been a real encouragement. Even more came in after my last presentation, and some really fun ones too. What finding gold looks like. Let's take a look at that. As you may recall, we were discussing the opportunity you have to find gold fast. I showed you a little tip on where to look. So much of your gold finding success depends upon knowing just where to start looking for gold and just what clues you have to look for. So much so that let's start thinking about it a little differently. What if we thought of it not so much as what finding gold looks like, as what gold finding looks like? It's a process of gold finding. So what gold finding looks like. As I mentioned to you in my previous email, I have a background in engineering and geology and a lot of fun experiences finding gold. Did I mention my short stint as a co-inventor of gold mining equipment with my son, at the time age 11? We made a PVC rain gutter based, do-it-yourself, lightweight sluice box. What a lot of fun. You should try it sometime. Everybody should try building their own equipment at least once. It gets you a good idea exactly what makes it work and what doesn't. And also, just what it takes to make good equipment. I'm going to show you a fast gold location tip and what to look for. It'll only take us about 3 minutes to see. Consider a post-flood situation. It's a gold finding opportunity, and you're going to see why next. Here's your stream bed, rushing through your claim, winding down the mountainside. Right there, that red part, P3, shows you your placer claim on the main stem of your stream system. But when you look at the whole system, as you should consider all the tributary streams into that network. This forms a dendritic network. Notice I've also shown you lode claims marked with circles and placer claims marked with squares. L4 is lode claim number 4, P5 is placer claim number 5. P3 is a placer claim located on our claim, with the main stem running through. What you're looking for in this situation is where the lode mines lead directly downhill in a direct descent, steepest descent, downhill, topographically speaking, into the nearest stream that feeds into the stream that is feeding your placer claim. That's where your gold comes from. For example, L4 feeds down into the nearby stream, but does not drain into the creek running through our claim, and therefore that gold would not show up in P3. On the other hand, L2 feeds directly down the stream that's fed also by a placer claim that was found upstream from that. L2 feeds directly into a tributary feeder creek going directly into your placer 3 area. And that's the basic idea. Keep your eyes open for those things that feed the gold down the stream or down the hill and become a source for your stream system to load the gold into the bottom of your creek bed at bedrock somewhere along your claim. Another thing you want to keep in mind is questions and observations that you should be making all throughout this process. That fills out a table that looks something like this. The stream network you have, a list of the streams that feed into the stream from upstream, placer records for any placer deposits upstream, also perhaps immediately downstream. So P4 might be interesting because gold coming from P2, P3, and P4 can all be connected to P4. But no placer gold will ever run upstream from P4 to P3, of course. You also want to track the lode mines and list their quality and the slopes from them down into the nearest stream. Plot that. Also, identify traps that are close to the source. Identify turns and bends in high flow. Map both of those. These are all important factors to track when you build your gold clues. Because what you're really trying to answer here is, where's the gold? Where's the gold clues? The clues lead you to the gold. And that's what we're talking about when we say a process to find gold. What gold finding looks like. Here in not so sunny Southern California right now, it's been pouring rain outside, which is great for the green plants and gold finding. Here are some more tips about floods and gold traps. Now note that picture. Over on that side, on the right-hand side, I've shown an arrow pointing to bedrock. It dives down at an angle about 45 degrees straight ahead, underneath all the rocks and cobbles that are ahead of us, and that brush and some of the scrub that's sitting on the stream bed and has been polished away from the last flood. But let's take a look at what that means. So first step, some interesting gold trap things to look for. 1. Go to bedrock. Any trap you're looking for should primarily be connected to bedrock. That is, it should either lie on, intercept, or be wedged in bedrock itself to be considered a true gold trap. And the reason for this is pretty straightforward. Take a look at boulder number 1. You'll see it sits maybe a foot or more above bedrock in a pile of overburden, okay? That overburden basically came from a previous flood, and boulder number 1 was deposited after that flood receded. That's how it works. So that means any gold that would be in the overburden is now trapped somewhere else along the road to boulder number 2, which happens to be lying on bedrock. Therefore, it was deposited either during that flood or prior to it and becomes a repository for any gold moving along. You can see that where that little gold, it's a red diamond, a red triangle there, moving along above the word bedrock. It is heading toward boulder number 2. Boulder number 2 becomes a collection place for black sands and gold, whereas boulder number 1 mainly will collect black sands and might collect some finer gold. It might collect some flour gold or very, very small gold pickers, but probably nothing any bigger. It would be flood gold from a prior event that was not as strong as the one that went all the way to bedrock. That's why you always look for that, because that's where the big stuff goes. Bigger gold travels close to bedrock. That's a rule. Number 2 here. So if we look at the cobble pavement on our bedrock, you can see that when cobbles come along, sometimes they're flat or disc shaped. You know, think of it as a large skipping stone, only these are very large, okay? And they have the same property of a skipping stone in that they form kind of an airfoil or waterfoil. They will tend to lay across one another in such a way that the water flow the energy will be dissipated as it travels across them. As that happens, they interlock. Once that happens, it takes a very strong flow to remove them, something equivalent to what it would take to move a big boulder. So they can trap anything you want underneath, including gold. So oftentimes a cobble pavement like this, where gold and black sands are sheltered by these cobble shingles, if you will, that were tilted end to end, overlying and pinned into the high flow. That will hold gold and it will hold black sands, and it will tend to filter out the gold because it'll be open on top like a riffle. Sometimes it'll have a lot of gold. So those are well worth investigation. That's 2 kinds of traps that you should consider when looking at gold zones. And these are things you can look at pretty easily when the water recedes. So one of the things I hear when people are kind of objecting to the idea of hunting for gold or the ability that we have to find it has to do with the price of gold and the influence it has on, say, fun. So gold and oil prices have been dropping lately. This may appear to make gold finding less interesting. I don't think so, and here's why. Well, gold finding is fun at any price. I had fun at 35 bucks an ounce when I was a kid. You can too, but I doubt it's going to be going to 35 bucks an ounce anytime soon, period. Where will gold go when the markets go haywire? I'll give you a hint, it's up. So one of the things you have to believe is that the markets are somehow inherently becoming more stable. I haven't seen that property for a few tens of years. If anything, things look a little bit like they're being jury-rigged for I don't know what purposes, but they're probably nothing to do with the price of gold. Gold prices cycle, typically about a 32-year cycle. But market instability makes some of those cycles harder to predict. How low or how high, or more importantly, just when they will shift. So you need to be prepared to find gold no matter what the market's doing, because you never know when what you do as a hobby becomes something really useful. Why you can find gold too, it just takes a willingness and a good process to try. Are you ready to find some? What gold finding looks like. Since your top response questions were so focused on where and what to look for, in my next prospecting email message, I'm going to be posting about this. I'll give you a few tips in this presentation on where gold hides in a flood concentrated traps and what types of pre-field exploration gold research make a real difference to your ability to recover gold. For your information, watch for that post to appear in the next day or so. It's coming up soon. What gold finding looks like. Have you enjoyed these posts? What's your takeaway? Please do us all a favor by going to the Hunting for Gold fan page and posting a quick comment to let everyone know what your big takeaway was from today. Also, add any other big gold prospecting questions or comments you have about how to find gold faster. Thanks and good prospecting. Prospector Jess.